black caregiver idle. Employer's wheelchair is not fast enough, so they find someone to modify the wheelchair. After the modification of the wheelchair to take the patient wild ride, sometimes also molested the employer's female assistant. This day, Jesse called the female assistant to his room. He said he had something good to show him. Then he pointed to the huge fish tank and implied that the female assistant could lay down 2 people.
Vas-y, commence à te déshabiller.
T'es comme ça, toi. Tout coquille et tout. Ah, j'aime bien. J'aime bien. Quoi? Tu vas où, là? T'avais dit oui!
At night, Jesse was just getting ready for bed, but then he hears Philip's rapid breathing on the intercom. He went to Philip's room. He sees that he's having trouble breathing, so he put him in his wheelchair. He wanted to take him out for some fresh air. The 2 of them went to the river to enjoy the breeze. They saw Paris at 4 in the morning. At this point, Philippe was having trouble breathing. It was because of the side effects of the medication. To ease his pain, Jesse also lit a cigarette and gave him a couple of puffs. Then they went into a cafe. They chatted sullenly about man-to-man topics. To Philip's amusement, to Tara big tooth rattling. In their first conversation, Philip talked about his wife and the reason for his paralysis. His wife had many miscarriages, resulting in the inability to have children. In order to get his wife out of the pain, he took his wife with him to go skydiving to relax, and it was this jump that killed his wife on the spot. He himself became a paraplegic. He said that his real disability was not his body, but the loss of his wife. And then, he told Jesse, the employment period is over. You are now officially hired. The next day, Philip had his assistant write to a pen pal. They had been writing to each other for 6 months, but they never met. When Jesse heard about it, I really cannot understand this kind of platonic love. He called the person on the phone and called them. Philip was very nervous. When he got through, Jesse handed the phone to him. At first Philip shook his head and refused to answer the phone, but to his surprise, the 2 of them were still talking very hot. Jesse also reminded to ask for a photo. The next day, Philip took Jesse to see the play, but when the main character came on stage, Jesse couldn't hold back any longer. He laughed out loud in front of a large audience. He also always makes. Philip was all smiles. After the show, Jesse found a picture of Philip in a wheelchair. He suggested sending it to Dee when he next sent a letter, but Philip's face was heavy. His physical handicap made him feel inferior. Facing his pen pal, he did not have the courage to show his disabled side to the other side. So at the end of the day, Philip asked the housekeeper to secretly change the photo to a handsome photo of himself with paralyzed money, and asked the housekeeper to throw away the photo of the wheelchair. But then Jesse came in. The housekeeper did not have time. She had to stuff a random file into the house. She came to complain about Philip's daughter. She always comes in when she's painting. After venting her frustration, she went back to her room to paint, probably because of the influence of that expensive painting. Whenever he had time, he painted a few strokes. As the 2 of them spent more and more time together, Jesse's care also became more professional. The relationship between them grew stronger and stronger. Since the death of his son, he hadn't had as much fun as he had with Jesse this day. Jesse showed his work to the housekeepers, and he asked Philip to give him an estimate. On his morning walk, he thought Philip's wheelchair was too slow. He had someone modify the wheelchair, and then he took Philip's for a ride on the wheelchair. He even took her to a massage parlor at night. A taste of city life. It's Philip's birthday. The housekeeper invited a band to perform at the house, but Jesse, sitting in the wings, couldn't enjoy it. He brought in the stereo and put on a hi-fi song. It was the atmosphere of a bar. He followed the DJ to do an impromptu dance. I have to say, black people's dancing talent is really jealous. With Jesse's atmosphere blowing up, the crowd followed the melody and turned the whole place upside down. Phillips also quietly watched their performance. After the birthday, Jesse took Philip back to bed. He took out a letter from his pen pal and gave it to him as a gift. When he opened it, it was a picture of his pen pal, and it was a beautiful girl. Philip was so excited that he bared his big teeth and was happy. He also left a message saying that he would come to Paris next week. I hope the 2 of them can meet then.